Right. Hello and welcome to what is now our third week worth of the MPW webinar presentations. And this week we are going to be tackling the topic of boarding and personal tutors here at MPW. Now, I'm going to say this from the outset. We are quite London-centric today, mostly because London has our brand new or nearly brand new boarding facilities. So boarding from the London perspective, but also from the personal tutor perspective as well. But it should be seen as provision across the group. So do feel free at any point to ask any questions that pertains to any of the three colleges that we can possibly answer. But with me today, we have Sabina Jardim, who is our head of boarding here in London. We also have Rachel Sherman, who is our vice principal in charge of all things pastoral in MPW London, and Charlotte Burnett, who is one of our star personal tutors or directors of studies. You'll learn the difference in terms of the vernacular on that one as this particular presentation goes on. But I hope that you have all been enjoying a good week since the last webinar, which was on the Oxbridge side of things last week. And I know lots of questions came in as a result of that since. Well, likewise for this, if there are any questions, you have the Q&A function that will be live on this particular chat. Do feel free to ask any questions as you go along, and I will field those questions to our participants or our presenters as we go through. Equally, if you can't access the Q&A for any reason, do contact your relevant regional manager or director in market for you who can field a question as live to us as well. But in the meantime, ladies and gentlemen, this is a live and recorded presentation, and I'm going to toggle in at this particular moment in time, Sabina. Sabina, a very, very good morning to you. How's your morning started so far on what is exam season time at the moment?
Good morning. It's been quite a busy morning for us today. We've got Maths GCSE taking place. So, as you can imagine, many boarders are sitting that and lots of wake-up calls and reminders.
Absolutely. It's rather typical, isn't it, that on a maths day itself, it's grey and overcast outside. But
Absolutely.
yeah, there we go. Irony aside, I will pass to you to do the boarding side of things here. I do just want to say a couple of things. Number one is that there is a time lag on this particular presentation, so if people do ask questions, do give us the moment in order to answer those questions to you. But secondly, I just want to upsell you for a moment, Sabina, if I may. This is now what, year two, year three for you in terms of your time at MPW. But what you've managed to do with the boarding facilities that we have is nothing short of remarkable. And we are very, very lucky indeed to have you. And hopefully what comes out in this presentation to everyone is not only what happens within the actual boarding provision itself, but it's in terms of how much extra has gone into actually providing for students outside and making sure that they feel settled, accommodated and cared for here over in London. So Sabina, over to you, and I'll toggle you through. If you can't see your presentation, do let me know. Otherwise, you're on.
I can. Thank you, James. Okay, good morning, everybody. So I'm going to start off by just introducing our boarding facilities. So we are based at Queensgate House, which is right across the beautiful Natural History Museum. All of our rooms are single ensuite rooms. We have 72 available, and they come equipped with their own mini fridge, their own AC and heating controls. We have underbed storage spaces, and really the rooms are designed in a way where the boarders can come in and they can make it feel like home. So they can bring in decorations, they can put up posters, and really it's a blank canvas when they arrive for them. We also have in this building a terrace, which the boarders use, as well as many classrooms, which we use for prep and private study that the boarders can use all the way up until through the evening after college is closed. Within this building as well, we have our amazing restaurant, college restaurant. So all of the boarders have 3 meals a day included within the boarding provision. On the weekends, we have brunch menu and dinner. So our brunch really has been designed specifically to add something special to the boarders, and they request foods all the time as well. So anything from eggs royale, eggs benedict to shakshuka, avocado on toast, as you can see in the pictures. So really, we try and cater to the boarders and their preferences as much as possible as well. Now, when they arrive, and even pre-arrival, the boarders are sent the boarding handbook, which really sets out everything they need to know about boarding. So it gives a little bit of history about Queensgate House. It talks about all the facilities that are available, including the day-to-day for their age group. As you can see on the screen, the ages are divided between 14 to 16-year-olds and 17 plus. We do cater boarding specifically for the younger students, for the 14s to 16s. That is not to say that we don't have 17s and 18s here with us. We do, but we do put the priority for the younger students. The main differences between those age groups really are their curfews and bedtime registrations. All the rules and everything else is absolutely the same. The younger students, the 14s to 16, also have prep between Mondays to Thursdays in the evenings with us. And we do have college tutors that come and support that prep and run it with them just to give them a little bit of extra tuition and support with their homework. And of course, at this time, with revision for their exams. Within the handbook also, we have our boarding principles. So as you can see, we have 7 of those. We have house points that we give out throughout the year. And all of those really accumulate towards certificates that we hand out at the end of each term for the boarders, which I will come back to in a little bit. We also have a boarding committee. So when we first start in September, we actually open it up to the boarders and they submit applications to be part of the boarding committee. And within that, really, they take on roles such as supporting with events, leading the food committee. And we do have 2 boarding ambassadors also that lead the boarding committee and represent the boarding house at any events that we may have, whether that's internal events or external events. And they are really a voice for the rest of the boarders. So every member of the boarding committee is able to receive feedback from the rest of the boarders, and they meet with me once a week or once every 2 weeks and give me feedback for the house parent team. Now, within the boarding house, we use a system called Reach at the moment. And really, it's a way for boarders to do a few things. The first of which is the signing in and out process. So anytime a boarder leaves the boarding house, they sign out with a house parent and on the system. And there are 2 ways. We have a tablet right in front of the boarding office, or they have an app. So we do make it as easy as possible for them to update their location. Parents and guardians also receive a login to this portal, and that is really for them to approve any leave requests. So should a boarder want to go out on the weekend, maybe they'd like to go out with friends to the centre London, or they might be going away for a weekend, maybe staying with their guardian or flying for half terms, they submit a leave request on the app, on the portal, providing all of the details. And once the parent and the guardian has approved, then the house parent team will approve. So really, the parents are always aware of where their child is and where they will be going to. If boarders are going out on the weekends, we do check-ins with them quite regularly as well. With us being an urban boarding school, really safety of the boarders is our top priority here. So we encourage them to explore London. That is the beauty of being in the centre of London. And we want them to go out and experience it with their friends. And of course, also balance their academic studies with free time. But all we do is just check in with them. So they may go to the centre of London to Soho, and then they may message us and tell us, actually, we would now want to go to Tate Modern to see an exhibition. We'll check in with their live location, which they share with us via WhatsApp. And we just keep talking with them, ensuring that they are updating us where they are. Now, within the boarding house, we have many things going on. So boarder, their typical day doesn't really finish until their bedtime. So they may finish school at 5 or 6 in the evening once their lessons end, but when they come back, we have many different things for them to do. So the activities that we run include Monday activities where we together as an entire boarding house get together just once a week on Mondays to run house activities. And that could be anything from making hot chocolate to the gingerbread house decorating, as you can see on the screen, um, to anything like competitions. It's also an opportunity for each house parent to get together with their house. So the borders are split into 3 houses, Manda, Portnam and Woodward, which is very original, Manda Meerkats, Portnam Polar Bears and Woodward Wolves. So they are automatically put into a house when they join. So on these Mondays activities, there is an opportunity for the houses to separate and actually bond together as a house. It's very much split by ages, genders, and courses, so it's very, very mixed. On Mondays is also when we have our house meetings. So these are compulsory for all of the boarders together with the Monday activity. And really, it's an opportunity for us to give them any notices, anything that has happened over the previous week, and also anything to be aware of for the week ahead. But in addition to that, it's a really good platform for the boarders to actually raise anything with us. They may have feedback or they may want to discuss something. So perhaps there might be an event that they really want to organize or an activity or a trip. So they use that as an opportunity. Along with these activities, we of course do trips and we also organize talks. So some of the talks that we have had included a nutritionist coming in and doing a talk on healthy eating with some really delicious samples for the boarders. We've also had our college counselors coming in to discuss sleeping patterns and how to look after yourself during the exam season. We also organise volunteering, so we really look at supporting our local community in doing volunteering with the local church, but equally we also donate clothing at the end of each term to the local charity shops, and the boarders have a choice of which ones they pick. So some of the other activities, just to give you a little bit of an overview, have included things like puppy therapy. So again, something that we are really passionate about here in boarding is supporting the student holistically and overall, not just in their academics, but pastorally. So we want to make sure that they are happy, they are healthy, they are safe, but equally for their mental health. So we did get puppies in for the 2nd year in a row this year, which has been incredible because it's been very popular. So last year we had English Bulldogs, this year we had Golden Retrievers, and they absolutely loved it. Some of the boarders actually came back for a 2nd session on the day as well. Some of the house activities, as you can see, we've organised squid games. So all of these competitions are things that boarders really enjoy, and it's an opportunity for them to get house points and also get out of their rooms and just pause with their studies. Other trips this year included a pottery cafe trip. So these are all arranged by the house parents, but they are led by the boarders. So they really are the voice of the house. They come and talk to us and let us know where they want to go. We give them suggestions, options, they pick, they put groups together. We've gone to the trampoline park as well this year, and they really run the show for these. Beyond the activities and the events that we hold, we also celebrate celebrations such as the Lunar New Year. And this year, for the 2nd year in a row, also the Nowruz celebration, which was a wonderful mix of boarders and day students that also came and joined us in the evening. So it's really an opportunity for boarders to speak to us about celebrations that they may be having back home. When they are with us, they are here at home with us. So we want to ensure that they actually feel that they are home, and anything that they may be doing back home with their parents, that we are supporting them through that here. At the end of each term, we hold a big event. So these events are at the end of each term, celebrating the boarders' achievements. So we do have an awards ceremony as well during these events. So the first one is our Christmas formal, which was a 3-course dinner. It ended with an awards ceremony where we gave out certificates for house points. We gave out certificates for our boarding principals and border recognition awards. So really it's an opportunity for us to recognize the boarders that have really participated in our boarding community, that have done particular things such as supporting other boarders, or leading on any visits or tours that we might be having, and really participating in the boarding life. And we have these award ceremonies at every event at the end of each term. The second term, we had a boarding Oscars celebration, which was incredibly popular. And we actually had boarders performing and singing during this event. And our last one, the most recent one, was our boarding summer celebration, which was an afternoon tea themed celebration. Now, at the end of these terms, we also have a winning house. So I've mentioned we've got the Manda Meerkats, Portland Polar Bears, and Woodward Wolves, all selected by the boarders at the beginning of the year. As you can see, we have trophies for those, and really it's an opportunity for the house to celebrate their awards and really the work that they have put into gaining the house points, to supporting the boarders in the rest of the house, and really going that extra mile. Perfect. Okay, so beyond that, just to give you a little bit more of an overview, the house parenting team is quite large. We have 3 house parents living on site plus myself, and we also have 2 boarding assistants. We also have a nurse who is here with us Monday to Friday from 8 to 4. So she is here to support the boarders with any illnesses. She's also here to support with any GP appointments. So really we are looking after the health of the boarders. And we communicate with families very regularly. So all of these images that you have seen today actually have come from our newsletters that we send out at the end of each term to parents and guardians. And really it's an opportunity, A, for the boarders to actually participate in creating a newsletter, given feedback, writing about events, but also for the parents to get a little bit more of an insight as to what is happening in boarding, what we have been doing that term. Of course, alongside this, we do have our Instagram, so we do post on images and videos on there as well, but really it's a summary of what we do. Okay, so that should give you a little bit of an overview of boarding and what we do here. It's quite busy. We do quite a bit. And we work really closely with the DOSers, the students' DOSers, which I believe Rachel will be talking about.
Sabina, thank you. I was really enjoying your presentation there. I was sort of sat back and watching all your photos and everything come through, and it's remarkable actually in terms of what you've actually managed to achieve there. One thing that I was laughing to myself over was your puppy play dates that you seem to have created. Can I ask, did you actually put puppy play dates in place because you wanted them, and therefore it sort of became a thing beyond that, or not?
Perhaps just a little bit. We do have, so our counseling team has a dog with them who is our therapy dog, essentially, Rollo. And the boarders got to know Rollo in their introduction during the induction in September and absolutely loved him. And really that spurred on the idea of getting puppies in.
So you have a therapy dog then, do you?
So the college counselors have a dog. Yes.
Ah, very interesting. I'm sure that will
Yeah.
come up in the pastoral side of things that we come on to next. But thank you very much indeed for those ones. If you don't mind, we'll just have a bit of a chat first. But one of
Of
the
course.
questions that's come through is about the nationality mix in terms of boarding. Can you give us a bit of a sense as to the nationality mix that you have within your boarding house, whether it's different this year than previous year, but then also, do you have any Brits who are also part of the mix?
The majority of our students are international. This year we have had 3 domestic students with us, so it is quite low. And really, the nationalities are quite mixed. We have students from all over the world, all the way from Turkey, Egypt, Dubai, China, Russia. So actually, it's a very multicultural boarding house that we have.
Jolly good. Gender balance, how we sort of looking within the.
So last year it was pretty much 50-50. This year the girls have taken over. So we have 4 boarding floors and the girls have 3 of those.
They have 3 floors. How
They
did
have
how did
three
all that?
floors this year, yes.
There you go. It's an interesting one that because mostly within the schools themselves, it's more on the 50-50 line, but in boarding it goes slightly differently. I'm going to ask the,
Yeah.
the outward question though. Do you see a difference in maturity levels between boys and girls in boarding?
Oh. I don't think that's just in boarding, James.
Yeah, I've got to remind you, you're live and recorded here, Sabina. But
But
yes,
I think
absolutely.
I think at the end of the day, our goal here really is to grow their independence. So boarding really is just part of their roadmap. It's part of that transition. So our goal here is when they join us at 14, 15 years old, is really to develop their independence in all things, really, whether that's looking after their health, whether that's doing laundry. We have laundry facilities here and teaching them how to do that. Looking at healthy sleep, healthy eating so that by the time they leave us and go into independent living, they are ready to look after themselves and they are confident that they can do that.
Okay. Um, I don't. Sorry, I might have missed this in terms of your answer to the British side of things, the
Mm.
quota there. Did you say we have some British students within that?
We had 3 this year.
Okay. So would you describe our boarding as more of an international boarding school or a boarding school for all nationalities? Bit of a abstract question.
It is. I think it's definitely for all nationalities, but in terms of obviously looking at the nationalities that we do have, it is more
Mhm.
international this year.
Okay. So another question coming through is in how the boarding team works alongside the academic team to support students in terms of like prep and homework. And I
Hmm.
mean, right before we went on air today, you were saying how you were having to support 22 or something boarders into their exams today. So I'm sure there's
Yes.
a clear answer to that that if you can answer, and then obviously I'll bring Rachel in afterwards as well.
Yeah, of course. So we work really closely with the college and the Reach system that we have, all of the directors of studies have access to that. So they can log pastoral reports on Reach. And essentially, what that would mean is if they'd had a conversation with one of the boarders, they log a report and the house parents are notified straight away, and vice versa. So, really, it's all about communication. So the thing with prep, for example, if a DOS is concerned that actually their tutee is just not catching up with homework or just needs a little bit extra support, they can contact us and then we can support them through that during prep time.
Lovely. It is everyone happy about prep time? I mean, I remember all these boarding school stories, and then
Yeah,
one reason why people like to move away from boarding school is because of prep time on evenings and all this. Do you get any kickback for prep,
that's
or
true.
everyone's
So
happy
we
enough?
actually we work really closely with the students. The students are at the heart of boarding. So at the beginning of this year, as I've mentioned, we have prep Monday to Thursday, and that's compulsory for 14 to 16-year-olds. However, at the beginning of this year, some of the boarders have raised that actually that's quite a lot of prep for them. And so what we have done is out of those 4 prep periods, 4 prep evenings, we only do supervised prep with them once a week. So only once a week they are with one of the college tutors or a boarding assistant supervised in the classroom. The other 3 days they can study in their room, they can study in the college restaurant or one of the other classrooms independently.
Right. Okay. Good. And you've mentioned this a few times now in terms of you listening to students. How
Yes.
strong is the student voice within boarding?
The student voice really runs the house.
Really?
At the end of the day, we are here for them, and you know we have feedback in various ways. They can come and talk to a house parent. They can talk to a member of the boarding committee. Of course, the boarding committee meets with me weekly and can talk to me. And actually, every single week, they might bring up something new, something different, and we would open those conversations and have those open discussions.
Lovely. And Sabina, you have a lot of questions coming through today, and it was always inevitable when it comes to boarding because everyone wants to know a little bit behind the curtains, as it were. But
Yeah.
a regular weekday evening, if you don't mind, what's the routine for boarders on a boring regular routine evening?
So the boarders will finish their lessons either at 5 or 6 p.m. They would then come back to us. We have dinner registration between 5:30 and 7. So if they wish to, let's say, for example, they finish their lessons at 5 or 6 p.m. in college and they wish to go and get a bubble tea, which is a big favorite for many of our boarders. All they would do is send us a message or give us a call, share their live location so we know where they are. They can do that by 7 p.m. They then come back to boarding, register for dinner, and into prep. Then from 8 p.m., they have free time until curfew and bedtime registration. On Mondays is the only day, as I've mentioned, where we do house meetings and a house activity. And really, that's only in term 1 and 2, because during term 3, of course, we are busy with exams and we are not doing compulsory activities. In fact, we are just encouraging them to ensure that they get that balance, go out for a walk, spend some time on the terrace for some fresh air so they're not always studying.
Okay, lovely. Thank you. What about the age range there then? Is it do you have 16, 17-year olds? Is it mainly 14, 15? What sort of comment can you make on age range?
Yeah, so the majority of our students are around 16. And of course, towards the end of this academic year, many of them have had birthdays, so they have just turned 17 as well.
Okay, lovely. Thank you. Um, so with all of these activities, which all look very nice in the photos and all of this, one of the questions that's coming through is in terms of what the extra charges for all the puppy power and everything else that comes into it. Are there any other charges levied for these activities, or are they part and parcel of the offering?
So we pay for one trip for all of the boarders, which is at the beginning of the year. So at the beginning of this year, we had a London evening tour, which we covered. All the other trips the boarders pay for, so those are on a sign up basis. However, all of the activities that we hold in-house are no charge.
Okay, lovely. Thank you. A couple more, and then I'll feed this one into the DOS side of things. But what about security? We are central
Hmm.
London located. We are in
Yeah.
the embassy heartland, so obviously there's a good amount of security provision outside. But what about security within the building? Um, how does access work? Access to rooms, access to the building, nightly, daily, those sorts of things, please.
Yeah. So all of the boarders, as with all students at MPW, have a key card, and their key card will only allow them to the boarding floors. So day students will not be able to use the lift to go to the boarding floors. Their key card only allows them access to their corridor and their room. So even though they are a boarder, they won't have access to any other corridor than the one that they live on. Now, those key cards, actually, we manage the access in terms of timings. So 11 p.m. they stop working, they are not able to go out of the building, they're not able to use the key card to leave the building. Overnight, we do have night porters as well, and they work very closely with the house parent team to really supervise the boarders overnight. So every boarding floor has a kitchen which is open 24/7, and our boarders do use it, especially during exam season when they are studying quite late. So the night porters are always around to supervise that.
Lovely. Thank you. Beyond that, what about sort of exeats and things like that? Do students need to get permission, whether that's for a weekend, whether it's a day out? How's
Yeah.
the exeat system work?
So the exeats work via Reach, our portal, and really all the students need to do is submit a leave request. that then has to be approved by a parent or guardian first. So we would never approve a leave request without a parent or guardian having approved it first. So that's the first stage. And all we would do is if it's a day request, so 14s to 16-year-olds can be out for 4 hours at a time, after which we ask them to come back, see us in person, and then they can go out again. And the 17s plus can go out up to 6 hours at a time. So halfway through, so at 2 hours and 3 hours marks, we would do a check-in with them.
Okay, lovely, thank you. I've got two questions that I'm just going to feed in, and the very quick ones. What number one is I'm as guilty as anyone else here of enjoying Sasho's food. Sasho is our head chef over in QGH. With the strength of the student voice, how often do they get to make requests of the sort of things that they'd like to eat as much as anything else?
Really, that's a continuous conversation because boarders' preferences change and sometimes they want something new, but they can come and talk to us at any time. All of the events that we hold at the end of each term, the boarders contribute to that in terms of telling us what foods they'd like to have. Sushi is a big favorite. Katsu chicken is another one that they've really enjoyed and loved. So really, we work with them on that. Equally, if they wanted something specific for brunch, for example, we had a request for a bagel station. And again, they let us know, and then we work together with Sasha and the catering team.
I am going to say this, and it is a little shameless, but there are not too many boarding houses out there whereby you can actually request the food that you actually get. And it's such a London-centric thing, isn't it? That we are so spoiled for choice in terms of food, etc. But because of the international quality of the boarding house as well, the ability to be able to adapt around that student body is a luxury for us. And then just the last one, and I'm going to toggle Rachel in at the same time because I'm going to segue it from boarding into MPW because it pertains to mobile phones. Sabina, from your perspective, how do you ensure that a student does not sit up all night on their phone? Can you? Do you confiscate them, or do you just take them at their word that they'll be good for that? And just while you're answering that question, I'm bringing in Rachel Sherman at this moment in time. As I said before, Rachel is our vice principal over in MPW London, looks after things all pastorally. And Rachel, once Sabina's given an answer to that one, do you think you might be able to comment on what you do with mobile phones during school themselves? Because mobile phones are the curse of schooling nowadays. But Sabina, I'll let you tackle that one first.
So it's not the first time I've been asked this question, definitely. I would like to start off by saying we don't take phones away, nor do we switch off Wi-Fi, because that question has been asked before. Our goal here, as I have said, is to develop their independence, and part of that is actually teaching them how to manage their own time. However, we do look at patterns. So if we notice a student is consistently late in the mornings to our morning registration, is looking tired quite often, we would then have a conversation with them. And if that's the case, and we have done only on a couple of occasions since I have been here for 2 years, we will take phones away at bedtime and then give them back the following morning.
Thank you. I appreciate that one. And I also appreciate it's not actually very healthy at times to take phones away from students during their own personal time. It's amazing, isn't it, though, how many students become very knowledgeable and well versed on human rights law when it comes to actually taking away their phone. But looking at patterns is important because it is important that we gain some semblance of control over that one. Sabina, thank you very much indeed for all of that. Don't go too far because we might have some more questions for you at the end. But Rachel, a nice way of you being introduced to this is, what is your stance and view on mobile phones within schools?
Well, we have a mobile phone policy across the whole school. And as Sabina said, we're trying to make them independent users of their phone. And I don't believe in taking away phones. As adults, don't take them away, have them taken away from us. But we have to learn to use them. We have the policy for GCSE is that every lesson they go in a clear box in the middle of the table. And our students are very, very good at doing that. They're very very compliant. They don't moan about it. They just come in and it's become habit. For the older ones, the sixth formers, they keep them in their bags. They switch them off, keep them in their bags. And sometimes in the lessons, they're asked to take them out because they might want to look something up. They might want to check an email or a message. And as the school systems are messaging the students through their mobile phones and their timetables are on Outlook, they need them. So we are basically training them to use them responsibly and not be obsessed with them. We work closely with boarding. I'll introduce the Directors of Studies system at the moment. If we notice a child is obsessed with their phone and tired, we will be talking to the house parents and Sabina about working around that and helping the child be more responsible with their phone.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, that's right, isn't it? Everything is about a teachable moment within all of these things. It's about learning to do things properly. And habit is exactly what you want to get into nice and early on within all of those things. Look, Rachel, thank you for joining us today, and thank you for having this conversation. I'm going to put you live on the screen because people would far rather see you than me. But we will still continue to have a conversation with this. But I wonder if you might start off by just giving a bit of an overview to yourself and your team, but also just introducing the DOS system as it is. And ladies and gentlemen, the Director of Studies system, or as we like to abbreviate it, DOS, is exactly the same as it would be if we were calling it the personal tutor system in Cambridge or Birmingham. You might hear that in different respects, depending on where your students are, but in London, it's the Director of Studies system. So, Rachel, if I can let you do a bit of an overview.
Well, I'm going to bring in a prop because I have one of my Director of Studies here who couldn't get in on the call, so I'm going to. She's here too.
Hello, so Charlotte. How are you?
The technical difficulties.
So we're going to do a bit of a double act together.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
So my role, I oversee all the Directors of Studies and manage their day-to-day, and I am a Director of Studies myself to a group of students. And our role is twofold. We support the academics. We might even teach a little bit too, but we also, our pastoral support the well-being as well. And our role in relation to boarding is like the conduit, the gateway. We are communicating with the boarding team, the academics and the pastoral, and they're sending stuff our way too. So we're one big community in that way, and we can really keep an eye on the students because we are a school within a home, or home within a school. So we've got to make sure that every student that's a boarder, or every student, are day students as well, they have a very balanced and secure and life and progress well in their studies and outside of school. So this is Charlotte. She is a Director of Studies too. How many students do you have under your wing?
Yeah, so per person we have around 40. And realistically, we try to meet students every 2 weeks, but obviously depending on the student, they're not all the same. Some of them need a bit more support or contact. So it's sometimes once a week, roughly. And the conversations aren't really super intense on the academic side, because also it's obviously that pastoral role as well. So it's a lot of kind of just how you're getting along. Sometimes conversations can be like 5 minutes. Sometimes they need longer, just generally dependent on the student. But we do try to look after about 40.
If you have, if a GCSE student would be seen regularly, that's once a week and maybe even once a day. If the head of GCSE is the DOS too, the head of GCSE will also meet the student once a day for registration. So actually, the younger ones get seen regularly. And with the DOS, you might have an appointment in your diary to see the student, but the student can come at any point and knock on our office doors. So our office doors are always open for them. And also parents, guardians, and anybody else that looks after the student contacts the Director of Studies. So I suppose you could see them as almost the student's personal head of year if you were equating it with another school. And we see them on an individual basis, one-to-one. So they're not in a big group in a class where you're taking a register and you might see Molly for 2 seconds. Molly will sit sit in your office or on a comfy chair somewhere private and talk to you and talk through their week, talk through their test marks or their concerns. Or it might be just a big well done. We've heard from your house parent that you did this at the weekend, and that's really good. So that's the role of the DOS, really. So it's academics and pastoral support, and we are the gateway between the boarding house and the teachers too. So the teachers will be telling us things that we pass on to boarding if need be.
Goodness me. Do you remember what the term free? Do you remember what the term free time means at all, Rachel? Or
no,
absolutely.
Really.
I mean, it is a really important point that without the DOS system, the personal tutor system, the college wouldn't be what it is, because it is such an important and vital role that you have within there. Just picking up, I'm not sure if it was said here, I know certainly you do, Rachel. Charlotte, do you teach as well? I mean, do all the DOSes do some element of teaching within that? And how important is it to be a teacher as well as a personal mentor?
Yeah, so I mean, you teach, don't you? Teach?
Yes, I teach RS and philosophy within A-level and GCSEs, but I think it's just so vital as part of the role, because it's all very well trying to tell a student how in progress and things, but when you actually understand a subject specifically and being able to give them step-by-step kind of guidance on, even if that's from revision to a class test, if there's a whole, you really do need to be teaching at the same time to really have an understanding, and also for them to be able to tell you things, because otherwise it's kind of difficult if it's just this kind of random pastoral person who doesn't have a clue about education. So the fact you're still in the classroom is really important.
Is that important not just for the student, but also in terms of you being able to communicate with the teaching staff as well within there? It gives you a bit of reputation within the room.
They take us very seriously because we know what we're talking about.
Yeah.
And we can get into the nitty-gritty of academics, as Charlotte was saying. If we're talking about essay writing, or we want to recommend a surgery for a specific part of a syllabus, we've got the lingo. We know what we're talking about, and we can then direct them to the right place. And I think that's what makes the DOS team. I said my DOS team. It's our DOS team. My DOS team. We've got about 20 of us who are incredibly talented in their fields of subject fields, as well as pastorally. So, and we get trained a lot to keep ourselves up to date with what's going on with young people, because not all of us are young. I mean, Charlotte's young, I'm not so young, but we've got to keep up to date with what's going on with technology, all the sort of ins and outs of the problems with using technology, for example. We've got to keep us up to speed as the students.
Swerving well away from the age points there, Rachel, in general, but what in terms of the training that you get, is this internal training, or these externals who come through to train the teams? How often does that happen?
Well, it's a mixture. So in the summer, we're brewing up to having a 2-day conference for safeguarding. We've got some interesting outside speakers who are, again, experts in their field coming to train us in various things. But it's also the team will ask me as well. This, we want to know what US applications are all about. And I know Charlotte went on a course to just get more up to date. The UCAS system's changed, so a few of our team have gone off to do that, and then they'll feedback to the rest of the team, and then they can then teach the students. So it's constant, actually. It's all year. We meet as a team once a week, and we go over the main issues, and if anything pops up that's an issue, for example, a safeguarding issue or a problem in London or something that we need to feedback to the students, we're all on the same page. So yeah, we're constantly talking to each other about things like that.
That's really good. And actually bringing in another question into that, Charlotte, you've just been to learn about US universities and those sorts of things. The question that's come through is in terms of the pastoral system, how involved are you in university application support, and how does that work really?
Yeah, absolutely. So as with our tutees, specifically in year 12, obviously before the summer, before they apply to university, there's weekly classes called Next Steps. And we basically kind of help students with all applications, whether that's UCAS for UK universities or the American with the Common App. We do build that into the curriculum before they even come back. And we do ask them over the summer to kind of have drafts ready, and we'll guide them through it. And even when the actual process starts, we are their advisors. So especially with the UK system, we're now the UCAS advisor. So we're the ones who send off the application. So literally every step of the way, they can't just go walkies and do their own thing. We're there.
Right. Okay. I mean, lots of sort of questions come up from this one, and I'm glad no one can sort of go walkabout on the whole thing. Just one question that has been coming through a couple of times. Does this system apply for those students you have who are foundation students, or is it more just you have the knowledge for A-level students and we have a different division, as it were, who do the foundation students?
You want me to answer the one? Oh, yeah. So the foundation course, the team there do some hand holding as well, in the same way that the Oliver Watt, who runs the course, he puts on a session each week, so the students get guidance on choosing universities. But the DOS, the Director of Studies, will help with the personal statement, making sure they have all the pieces of paper that they have to send off. And Kaplan themselves, they do the placements and manage. It's really good, actually, how much help they get. They place them and bring in all the right documents, because they have links with the universities, but also they have specialist links with the university's international team, so they can make sure that the visa is done on time. So it's a mixture of a lot of us and the Kaplan team and the UFP team, but we'll guide the UFP, the foundation student, through. The Art Foundation is us. So if you're doing the UAL, the Art Foundation, we help in the same way we do the A-level students, and the art team will be making sure that their portfolio is done just in time, because with art, as soon as you send your application off, 2 weeks time, you have to have your portfolio over. So there's a lot of timing of that, which gets managed by the Director of Studies.
Fantastic. You'd never have guessed that you used to run the foundation programs before the pastoral side. No, that's wonderful. And if I can just refer people back from those questions to the webinar that we ran in the first week, if you watch the recording on that, it will give you more of a sense on the foundation course and what they offer. But the key difference between doing a foundation course at university and doing it in the college is this extra support and pastoral provision that you get, particularly within MPW. Just sticking with the idea of university entrance support at the moment. I mean, one of the things we do from the outset with all the recruiters is that the interview, whether it's internationally or domestically, we spend a lot of time in the interview room discussing what your future career options are, and then sort of pair back from there to make sure that the academic A-level program in place is absolutely correct. Do you find that helps before you meet your students on day one to actually see what was discussed in the interview room? Is that something that helps you with that? Do you often find, though, when students arrive, you need to change their programs of study or what have you, or do they tend to shake hands quite nicely?
So usually it's pretty much aligned and it's fine, it's seamless, but you may find as they start in year 12 or their GCSE course, they suddenly find that a subject they thought was exciting or what they wanted or might change, or they might hear that, you know, they like another subject from a friend. So there's a little wiggle at the start of term where they can change, but obviously the conversation is always around, are they going to be ready to go to university or the next step? Most students go to university, some do other courses, but we have to make sure that their English, for internationals, their English is right, it's in place and ready to go for the application, and we have to make sure their maths is and everything else. So there might be a few conversations that, oh, by the way, I don't think your IELTS is enough, you need this, or it's a lot so you don't need so much IELTS. So those conversations are happening at the start. We're at a pinch point now, actually, after year 12 end of year exams, where some year 12s may have excelled in some subjects but not in others, and they're having conversations about changing things up ready for year 13. So again, that's something that DOS will do alongside the parents and guardians or agents even. So again, there are several points in the year where the Director of Studies steps in, again, just to make sure that that child is settled and ready to go off to their next steps.
Lovely. Thank you. You mentioned parents a few times within there. Do you have parents' meetings with tutors how do parents basically follow their kids' progress throughout?
We're nodding furiously.
Yes,
You
are
are
the main points of contact.
We deal with parents on a daily basis. And I think, I mean, you're always talking to parents. I know that.
Yes, probably once every 2 days. Either a phone call, an in-person meeting, an email. Prefer to do it on phone or in person, to be honest, just because it builds up that relationship, but also it is their child. You want to be looking after them and showing you're looking after them.
And I think, so we also have reports every half term, and that brings up conversations with parents. And we're open door. We have a parents' evening for GCSE, but A level, because we report so much, we don't want a 5-minute quick meeting in a big gloomy hall. We want to make sure that parents feel welcome at all times to come in and discuss their child's progress. And obviously some of our parents are abroad, or they might be flying into the UK at various points, so it's very difficult to have parents' evenings. So we invite them in, have a tea, and chat over progress and make plans from there.
I would like to say, for the benefit of the record, we do not own a big gloomy hall at all. All of our facilities are nice, bright, light and open.
Dazzling. A dazzling hall. But I don't want to give parents just 5 minutes of our time. You can't do much in that.
No, I know. I absolutely know what you mean on that side of things. And just for the audience we have at this moment in time, who do you speak to, I suppose? Is it always parents, and is it only parents? Are you able to speak with agents and guardians? Does someone just have to be nominated on the record? I mean, how does the security of that work, please?
That's usually we have a guardian in the UK on the record, and obviously parents, and usually the parents will say, if I'm anecdotal, if I give a story of a student, as a Turkish student, as one of my director studies, we have the guardian, but the guardian is just there for emergencies, and the parent really wants to be involved. So I speak to the parent on a weekly basis, and the guardian gets involved if there's some emergency, a sickness or something where the father can't be here. So it does depend on the family, but they are highlighted on our system as who gets to speak to who. We don't speak to somebody that shouldn't be spoken to, if you put it that way.
Yeah, lovely, thank you. And it is a really important point within all of that. We have to have the right person nominated on record for us to speak to, and beyond that, it is our job to ensure the welfare of a student. We don't just give out information wherever we can. Okay. Charlotte, coming back to something you said before, you said you don't have intense academic conversations all the time. Here's the $1 million question for you. How do we change around a student's academic progress? I mean, if they are struggling, what do we do? There's a question here from someone regarding how do we actually ensure that someone's on the right track, and what do we do with that?
Yes, by that, sorry, just to clear the record, I don't mean constant, like every single week, like, why aren't you doing well enough in your subjects? But it's more just, we'll put things in place, like we offer workshops with every subject which they can go to, because there's always honesty in these conversations. It's never going to be, oh, you're going to be fine, or just keep plodding on. If someone's really struggling a lot, we'll put some things in place like workshops or one-to-ones with the teacher. But when it gets to a point when there's kind of like the end of year exams, that's when kind of we'll address it with parents, and we'll just say, look, we've tried a lot of these things, and if you're really struggling in the subject as well, are you going to be particularly happy carrying on with this, which is the main question, because it's not really good if you're carrying on with something which you're struggling with constantly. So we'll put things in place, but then it got to make a realistic decision by the end of it.
Absolutely. What if someone's not handing in their homework, they're not doing things to time and all of those sorts of things? What sanctions do you have available to you? What sort of methodology do you employ in order to try and light a fire under them in the right way?
Yeah, you go. Okay. Well, it depends on their age. But obviously the younger ones, the year 10s and 11s, there is well, we'll see what's going on first. I mean, it could be that there is something emotional, some well-being issue, and we flex around that. But if it's a student that's just, dare I say it, just being lazy and can't be bothered to do their homework on time, if they're a boarder, obviously we speak to the house parents and they have study time there, and we can work with house parents to make sure they have time to fix their homework regime, but we do have a detention system, so detention at lunch times on a Tuesday and a Thursday, I think, at the moment. But so that's managed by the head of GCSE. So a teacher would say, you know, Johnny has not handed in his homework, and then the parents will be notified that there is a detention for that, and then they will have to do their homework in the time set. For an older student, and now this is new this year, I found that for the A-level, detentions are more a detention for me, having to come in super early in the morning, than it was the student. So I've changed that around, and actually trying to make them more responsible for their own and independent thinkers and learners, that if they're struggling to get their work done, we sort of look at them as a broken engine. Get under the bonnet. What's wrong? Why can't you do? Are you not asking? Do you need to see the teacher? And we put in some supervised study for them, which is registered. So they'll be put in the library or supervised by the director of studies. I have a couple of directors of studies that have actually put in supervised study onto their own timetable, and they have their young people in with them, and they will sit and help them with their homework. We can often find a specialist within the DOS team to help as well. So that's more nuanced really and individualized, and that's where we're tailored. And I think for the sixth formers that works. GCSE, they do sometimes need to kick up the backside, and a detention is it. And after a while, they'll start doing their homework, because if they miss their lunch, it's not very nice. Obviously, they can have a little bit of lunch before. We don't torture them, but they like to hang out with their friends at lunch. And, you know, sometimes if you're not doing your homework, you can't. So it does seem to be working. And it definitely works with attendance, which is another matter we probably need to discuss.
Absolutely, and we will touch on attendance just now, but I find it really refreshing that you say that. We're going back a long time since I was a DOS within there, but one of the things that is always quite worthwhile understanding is why someone's not handing in homework and why someone's not doing something, and the answer isn't always that they are, you know, a naughty boy or something like that. Often it can be the case of resistance, not understanding, self-confidence issues there, and that's often something we deal with in smaller class sizes, but definitely outside of the class as well. Rachel, you mentioned attendance within there. Do you want to give us a bit of an overview?
I don't want to bore people too much, but attendance nationally is an issue in the UK, and obviously the government are making all schools look at their attendance, and we've done that. We've changed the way we do things slightly. The role of the director of studies on an hourly basis is to check where their students are. So you'd have another screen next to your main screen, and you have a register on there. So if the student isn't marked into a lesson, we chase them. You know, for example, if they haven't got up from boarding probably would have told us already, and then we can let the teachers know where they are. So attendance, if a student isn't attending or we don't get a note from home, then we do start to worry, and the director of studies will be contacting home and working out what's going on. And usually it's just a matter of, Molly's mum will just write in and say she has a doctor's appointment this morning, she's not in, and then we can adjust the register. But our attendance is above the national average, which I'm really pleased about at the end of the year. So we are working really hard to get the students in school. If they're not in school, they're not learning, and often not safe. So we hope that we can get them all in and being in all their classes, enjoying themselves here, which I think is working now.
Yeah, I do just want to mention how exceptional and positive that is in terms of your celebration there, in terms of the above national average and all of that in terms of attendance, because it is hard work as a day school always to ensure that people are doing all of that sort of thing. You don't have exactly the same rules and trappings as mainstream schools, which is why people come to colleges in the first place, and actually managing to arrest that cycle from the past of people not coming in and now actually voting with their feet and coming into school with your guidance and support is a hugely positive thing and a big tick in the box there. I just want to move this across if I can, just in the interest of time. In terms of the support we provide students who might be struggling outside of their academics, outside of their social sphere, maybe slightly more on the mental health side of things, on stress, welfare in general, what sort of systems are in place to support students, please?
So we do have in-house counsellors. I think we have 3 now, who basically we're not going to tell them to go to counselling, obviously, because it's is a difficult topic, but that support system is absolutely there. We've obviously got the pastoral side, but for them to have somewhere completely different. I believe one of them has a dog called Rollo, which is always a popular option.
we heard about Rollo from Sabina, and we
Oh,
said
sorry,
we'd ask
sorry,
you. No, Charlotte. We said we'd ask you specifically about it. So please tell more on Rollo.
But Rollo is we call him a counselling dog, actually. So the students have got used to Rollo coming in to see them in their PSHE lessons. And PSHE lessons are once a week, and we do deal with managing stress, positive mindset, and all sort of mental health issues. But he does come in with Kath, his owner, and comes and sits with the students, and they can give him a tickle and hang out with him for a while. And then she's in on Wednesday, and if they want to just go and chat with her and just sit with Rollo, they can book an appointment. But as Charlotte says, if you're on a day-to-day, if you've got a student you're seeing is a bit stressed, or you're hearing from home, you can suggest counselling. Some of our students do have counselling and psychotherapists outside of school, so you can't do the two together, but they are always there and on site in case we need. And they do a lot of work, as I say, in PSHE to help manage, to help give the kids signposts and toolkits to manage their own stress. But often that's on a day-to-day basis with the DOS. Especially exam season, we have lots of students knocking on our doors, coming in, they might have a little cry or a panic, and we can calm them down and set them back on the road to positive thinking. So it's a team effort, I think, between us all, with the added bonus of having counsellors on site.
Fantastic. PHSE, which year groups is that available to? I mean, do we do it for specific ones? Is it for everyone? How does that work?
Yeah, so year 10, 11, 12, 13 have a little bit, but they're doing mostly their UCAS, and obviously any 1 years will have a little bit. They've done loads in their previous school, but it's age appropriate. So any sessions they might have a theme each week. So if it is keeping safe in London, we can't talk to the year 13s, 14s in the same age you would a year 10. So everything's age appropriate, but once a week. Year 13, year 14 have blasts of sessions across the year that are relevant for them for their moving on to university.
Fantastic. Thank you. We are coming right up to the end of everything here, and I've never seen quite as many questions come through on a Q&A, so most of which we've been covered. There is a question here which you're going to have to be very careful about the way you answer it. But just out of curiosity, have you noticed a particular nationality that you feel is more low maintenance with pastoral care, excluding domestic UK students? And to whoever asked, you never exclude domestic UK students because often they are the ones who have the most amount of need for maintenance within there. So any particular nationalities within there? How do you answer that?
I don't know, because we look after all students the same, and we don't see anybody as high maintenance or low maintenance. We just maintain them all, and if they want a bit more of us, I can't pin a nationality. We have obviously a domestic student will have more home support because their parents are probably just up the road, but I would say I can't pin a nationality on that. I think all students should be treated equally and are pretty much treated equally.
You're absolutely right on that. I brought Sabina back into this as well because I felt like being a little bit contentious within that. Sabina, you're on mute at this moment in time, but would you say the same for boarding?
Echo that as well, yes.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's not specific to nationality, it's specific to individuals within there, isn't it? And everyone has different needs along the way within everything. Thank you very much indeed for your times today. And as I said at the start, I mean, it is the most valuable thing to MPW is not just what the teachers do within the classes themselves, but the support that goes in outside. And it's always defined MPW across its sort of 50 odd years now, but it is that extra support that's there, and it is the ability to look at an individual, which we try and do from the outset with the interview, and we try and feed as much information across to the schools and to the boarding team as possible so that you guys have something to work with from the outset. The reality is then it's everything that you do once they're within the schools themselves that adds the icing on the cake and really defines their journey. If you look at a lot of testimonials from students nowadays who talk about their time at MPW, it always refers back to their personal tutor and some of their teachers within there, but really it's that extra support they had along the way and your ability to roadmap it, to see the journey and along and to sort of guide people. The one thing I want to stress at the end of all of this, and you touched on it, all of you within there, is if you don't know something, you have someone else within the teams that you operate in who probably does have that level of expertise. And it's there within the Trotman guides for all to see, and the fact that different people have different specialisms. But even on a slightly more micro level within the DOS team, Charlotte, for example, you've just gone off and done US universities, which is a growing number of students nowadays. And it must be a very refreshing thing to know that you work within teams where you can also rely on other people and not just feel isolated on your own, as you have to look after your entire cohort, because different people have different needs. Is that a fair thing to conclude on?
Absolutely. I think we work as a team ourselves, and even, I mean, I'm quite old and experienced, but I still call my team, my younger members of the team. So I know that they sometimes relate to students. I know I've given you one of my
yes, I've taken one on.
taken one under her wing that seems to respond better to Charlotte than she is to me. So I think teamwork is the name of the game, and communication between us and the boarding, and working together to make sure each child has a very happy time at MPW.
Absolutely. Thank you very much indeed. Ladies and gentlemen, while Rachel keeps referring to age throughout the course of this, she is in no way old, but she is exceptionally experienced and does run an exceptional team there. And to all of you, you are wonderful at what you do, and we are very grateful and very lucky to have you. Thank you for your time today, and thank you to the audience for really providing so many questions on today's webinar itself. If you have other questions, do feel free to get in touch with us at MPW. Do feel free to get in touch with your regional managers as well. But please do reassure parents and students that once they actually join MPW and you move on from the recruitment aspect and you meet these wonderful people at MPW, these people become your point of contact, and you can feel free to rely on them to get their students out the other side and to do it very well. And it is the one thing we are most proud of, is our ability to take a student from where they are, give them, and Rachel got very close to using tailored, not uniform earlier. She got as far as saying tailored, but it's a tailored, not uniform experience for students to be able to have their own individual journey throughout. So I will take our lovely participants off screen now, and toggle myself back in. Suffice it to say, thank you for your time today. Join us next week on week 4 of our webinar and talk series for Viva la Visa, in a time when the UK government likes to change things every week. If we were to run it this week, it will probably be very different by next week anyway. But do join us next time so we can talk through all things on the visa side of things. For today, thank you for your time. Thank you to Sabina, Rachel, and Charlotte, and enjoy your weeks wherever you are. Bye for now.